Hey guys, Zach here, coming at you with part number 2 of Buried. This game, I can already tell I'm gonna love this game. Obviously, I'm recording it the same night, so everything's kind of the same. So let's begin. Chapter number 2. There's 5 chapters in total. Ooh. There's 5 chapters in total, so we'll have to be, careful with that. We're standing on the thin platform of what looks like a fancy subway. The rails look well used, but not old. There were small overhead lights that were very dim, as if they were running on emergency power. The dim overhead lights are a blessing, but the size of the place makes you feel vulnerable. Staring ahead, the tunnel seems to be endless. It's almost dizzying, but there's a small light further ahead, and then there's space that breaks off the monotony of the tunnel's curved surface. Another platform, maybe. Why are we in a subway tunnel? Dennis doesn't answer. The reality of what we are seeing is sinking in. Whatever this place is, it is buried way underground. That seems impossible to me, making anything that's on the other side of this tunnel as dangerous as far as I'm concerned. Make anything on the end of this tunnel dangerous as far as I'm concerned. But of course, we are going to go on. Human curiosity is going to see to that. Also, the ringing noise is louder down here. It's much more solid now, and there's some other sound. Something like a faint hum of machinery. What's your take on this, boss? You think we're safe down here, Dennis asks. Not at all. That's what I think to myself. But I don't want to let Dennis see that I'm rattled. While he seems to be limping along much better than we were at first, he's still in rough shape. I'm leading him here, and I should probably make him feel confident. Yeah, we'll be fine. You reassured Dennis. We're too far in to go back, I say. Besides, if we get caught for trespassing, I'm pretty sure we'd slide by. We're good. You're in pain, and we gotta find the rest of our crew. They could still be here somewhere. Dennis nods and looks reassured, albeit weak and miserable. From the looks of it, we can go either left or right. The left is slightly lit, the right not so much. This makes me uneasy because I got the sense that the wrong turn in a place like this could have us wandering for hours. Suddenly, I jerked my head to the right and heard the unmistakable sound of someone walking. Did you hear something? I asked Dennis, my eyes straining to see anything in the darkness. Not sure, he says. Maybe it's some sound. It sounded like footsteps, whatever. I can't read, I'm sorry. I wait a moment, but the sound doesn't come again. So those are our options. To the left are flickering lights, indicating that we'll at least be able to see. There's also the hum of machinery, a sign of life. To the right is just darkness, but we also heard footsteps in that direction. I don't want to use my future knowledge of this game to steer my decisions. Because, now I'm not going to spoil anything for you guys. I'm going to go left. You decided to go into the lights. Seems smart to stay in the light. Left it is. As we head left, the lights ahead are like a beacon in the dark, luring us forward. Someone left the lights on for us, Dennis says, trying to be funny, but creeping me out instead. I wonder if it's a good or bad thing, I say. As we near the lights, I hear the hum of machinery grow louder, but it doesn't sound like any machinery I've heard before. As the light increases, I use it to take an inventory of Dennis and his condition. While the bleeding seems to have stopped, the amount that's soaked into his pants and shirt is beyond alarming. How much further can you walk? I ask him. Can you keep going? Yes, Dennis says. Let's walk into the deep tunnel that has no business being here. Now fully stepping into the light, I notice that the sound of machinery is coming from an area on the left that is protected by a guardrail. Wisps of blue light dance on the walls as they leak out from whatever is below. I also notice a posted sign that says danger, severe radiation poisoning threat. Step closer and look, stay back and move on. I'm gonna move on. I don't want to get radiation poisoning. Dennis, I don't think we should get near whatever is down there, I say. Dennis studies the blue light a bit longer than nods. He's hurting enough as it is. I don't think we need to add radiation poisoning to his list of ailments. Or mine, for that matter. We step away and take off down the hallway tunnel again. I don't know why I had a hallway. I'm sorry about that. Whatever. As I start walking, I noticed another structure coming into the view up ahead. This is crazy. As we head further into the tunnel, we reach another platform. There's lights coming from the platform, but like the overhead lights, they are dim red emergency lights. I start to wonder if the explosion at the locking site caused a power outage in this place, whatever the hell this place is. The ringing noise that I originally thought was in my head is getting louder. I'm starting to think that it's some sort of alarm. When we come to the large open area ahead of the tunnel, it further resembles a subway station. As much as I try to ignore the reality, it's undeniable. We have stumbled into some sort of high-tech transportation system that is buried beneath the forests of Kentucky. It makes absolutely no sense and creates an entirely new sort of fear as to what the hell we had walked into. I noticed that Dennis seems confident though. When we reach a large opening, we have to climb over the rails and onto the platform. I have to help Dennis over the rails and then up to the small utility ladder that is bolted into the opposite side of the travelway. When he reaches the large open area resembling a subway waiting area, he collapses on the floor and lets out a heaving breath. "You know what?" Dennis says, exasperated. "This is ridiculous. I quit. I am not going any further." On top of worrying about my crew and the madness of wherever we are, I'm not in the mood for Dennis to act like a baby. Reassure him. I'm not the one with the gash on my side, I think to myself, so I decide to cut him some slack. "Damn, boss. I'm sorry," he says. "It's okay," I say. "I don't know how you're still on your feet, if I'm being honest." "Stubbornness," he says with a weak laugh. "You need a minute to rest?" I ask. "No. If I sit down to rest, I'm afraid I might not get back up. Let's keep going while I can still go." I reach down, help him to his feet, and then we get ourselves out into the platform. Right in front of us, there's an entrance to a long hallway, exiting the platform area. It's at this point that I realize those red emergency lights might be on for someone else who is supposed to be here. I'm going to stay quiet. I'm not sure if I want to alert anyone to the fact that we are strangers in a secret place. And the thought of hearing a scream, even my own scream in this place, is too much to bear. The emergency lights continue to flicker overhead, casting a sick sort of pinkish light on everything. My mind is racing with what sort of place this might be. It's obvious that it's meant to be a secret. And if it is supposed to be a secret, and there was a power outage recently, maybe most everyone had been evacuated. This thought does not make me feel any better as we walk towards the platform exit. We step inside what seems to be as empty as ever. We step inside, and it seems just as empty as every other place we come through, weakly illuminated by the overhead alert emergency lights. We're standing inside a hallway that looks surreal for a moment. Guys, I apologize about my horrible speaking. I'm trying to read this, and I'm not really good with reading. So, bear that in mind. The hallway reminds me of a hospital wing, but there's something not quite right about it. It's the first clean and tidy area I've seen since coming into the woods. It looks like it was recently in use, despite the dim emergency lights overhead. There are chairs against the wall, and the floor looks well cleaned, as do the walls. The ringing noise is definitely coming from here, and a small flashing red light along the ceiling seems to flash along with it. That ringing noise is an alarm, I say, if only to confirm my own thought. "But for what?" Dennis asks. And then he asks the question that has been on my mind since we fell in that hole. What the hell is this place? We exchange a look that speaks volumes. We reach the end of the hallway and hear a sound like a large metallic grinding. This is followed by a clicking noise and the unmistakable noise of a generator kicking on. Without warning, the facility jolts to life. The red glow of the emergency lights is suddenly replaced by bright white fluorescent ones. That mechanical hum is oddly comforting. Somehow the power being back on urges us on. It's then that I notice the ringing noise has stopped. So it had been an alarm, but for what? Just a power failure? We head down the hallway, the electrical hum of the lights sounding eerie overhead. Other than that, the place is dead quiet. The hall is about 100 feet long with two main doors. One door opens onto a large room that looks like a conference room with a whiteboard and papers strewn about. Across the hallway, another door leads to a laboratory of some sort. Dennis slumps over the wall in defeat and lets out a scary-sounding chuckle. "Something funny?" I ask as a dark, brooding panic starts to grip me. Dennis just keeps chuckling as he slides down the floor. "I'm just going to sit here while you look around," he says. There's a look in his eyes that reminds me far too much of a dead animal on the side of a road. I'm going to enter the conference room. Did Markiplier pick this one? I'm not sure. A large table sits in the middle of the room, lined with a series of chairs. It looks like something straight out of a showroom. A well-used whiteboard hangs on the wall, and there are scattered papers on the desk. Look at the papers. Most of the papers and printouts have codes and equations that go way over my head, but there's also some handwritten notes that don't make me feel any better about a situation. I read through them and see scrawled notes that say things like, last experiment failed equals overdose before transport. Levels indicate cellular catabolism. Question, more lead shielding into expert suits. Question. Measurements make no sense. Let Barksdale know about possible Higgs field fix. I'll look at the whiteboard as well. A few things were scribbled on the whiteboard, mostly formulas and names, but there are some things that were easy to understand, things that make my blood go cold. Subject number 6, cause of death. Cause of death, embolism or aneurysm, or both. Ideas for new delivery mode, spherical liquid, comatose state. Terracorco, possible plutonic supplier. Outside in the hallway, I hear Dennis grunting. As I head out of the room, I see him still seated on the floor, but I don't go very far because as I exit, a man comes rushing around the corner with an automatic rifle in his hand. That will be Marcus. It's hard to look beyond his rifle, but the man carrying it is young with messy dark hair. His skin is so pale that I wonder if he lives down here. He has the look of a guy who's been coped up for a little too long. He doesn't seem like the kind of person I trust with a gun in a stressful situation. As he sees us in the doorway, he screams and brings the gun up. It is aimed directly at my head. I'm not going to attack him. That's a stupid move. I put my hands in the air, surprised at how natural it feels to go into this surrendered state. Maybe it's because this feels like a dream. Maybe it's because I feel like I'll snap awake when the maniac pulls the trigger. I recognize you. You stopped around and set off. The security mic's at the entrance. What? I ask, unable to think of anything else to say. Who are you? Did you do this? The man eyes us both, and I see something in his eyes that unsettles me. He is scared, but there's something else. I feel like I gotta say that we're like just loggers, because if we're no one, just shoot us, we're only provoking him more by not telling him what we are. His eyes look distant for a minute, and then he says, bullshit. But for some reason, I'm pretty sure he knows we're telling the truth. Someone knocked the power out, the man says. It's back on now, but if it was out long enough, we're in a heap of trouble. Was it you? Who sent you? Look, we don't know what you're talking about, Dennis says. Something happened out in the woods. Are you alone? Are there others with you? The armed man asks, thrusting the gun in my face. How the hell did we get into this situation, I think to myself. If we hadn't fallen into this hole, we wouldn't be here. I'm not really sure if we want to go giving this guy information. We don't know anything about him. Then again, he might have answers. Just us. Don't tell him about the crew, because that might make him think there's other people down here. The man looks me up and down, trying to tell if I'm lying. What happened before you came down here, he asks. No clue, I say. I open my eyes on the ground and I don't remember anything. The last thing I remember was fueling up my power saw, and then I was on my ass. We could hear the alarm from where we were. And then a flash of white light, Dennis adds, like a bubble coming up from the ground. But how'd you get in here? The man asks. I point down the hall towards the subway. We came in that way. The doors weren't locked. His expression calms a bit, but I am still aware that his gun is leveled less than a foot away from my face. Please put the gun down. The only way I'm putting this rifle down is after I've blown your brains out, the man says. With that, he uses the muzzle of the gun to flip my hard hat onto the floor. It's a child's move, a playground tactic at best, but it's sufficient to show me that he knows he's in control now. He then levels the rifle at Dennis. I can only assume it's because the wounds make him appear to be the weaker of us. The man takes a shaky step forward. Dennis looks back and forth between the barrel of the gun and me, his eyes pleading for help. Step between Dennis and the gun. Before I'm fully aware of what I'm doing, I step in front of Dennis. The barrel of the rifle is nearly touching my chest now. Both Dennis and the man seem a little confused at my action, but I do my best to swallow down my fear. I don't know what's going on here, I say, but we're here by mistake. Well, you have no business here, the man says. But now the power is on, I think you might be too late anyways. For what? I ask. But he doesn't answer me. Instead, he steps forward and actually pushes me backwards with the end of his rifle. The man then repeats a question he asked before, one that made no sense and honestly made me think he might be a little bit crazy. Who sent you? He asks. You assholes from the Pentagon? I'm not quite sure how to take this question. Is this guy joking? No, what the hell are you talking about? No, I say, we're just loggers. Something blew up and my friend got hurt. We're just looking for the rest of our crew. Likely story, the man says, but I see a flicker of recognition in his face that makes me think he might believe me. Still, his grip on the gun as tight as ever, the look on his face makes me think he'll shoot at any moment. You both just stand still, he says. Sooner or later, someone will come along and I'll turn you over. He again thrusts the gun forward, as if it had an invisible bayonet on it. There's no need for that, I tell him. I have no guarantee that he won't pull the trigger. Look, Dennis says, we don't want any trouble. We're just as confused as you are. Then in a movement so fast I just about miss it, Dennis lunges forward. I have no idea how he's moving so fast. Just 30 seconds ago I was worried about how close to death he looked. But now he's moving lightning fast, his left arm coming down on the barrel of the gun like a club. In the commotion, the man does pull the trigger. The booming noise is deafening, and there's a moment where I think I've been hit. It takes the clanging noise of a round tearing into the floor at my feet to help me realize I had not been shot. I look to the floor, where the shot had missed my right leg by less than 3 inches. I'm paralyzed, in shock for a moment, and Dennis and the man fight over possession of the rifle. There's a fire extinguisher on the wall. I could use it as a bludgeon, but I might not have enough time to grab it before Dennis is overpowered. Punching him, I could risk getting hurt. I'll grab the fire extinguisher. I take the chance, dashing for the extinguisher, but my absence gives the man enough time to pop Dennis in the side of the head with the rifle. As I hear Dennis rail with pain, I rip the extinguisher from the wall and instantly lift it over my head. The man realizes what I'm doing as I come barreling across the room, but he's too late. I bring the extinguisher down quick. He doesn't have time to adjust the rifle for a clear shot. All he can do is particularly block the blow, which he does poorly. I hit him between the neck and the shoulder along his right side. He hollers out and falls awkwardly to the ground. There's a dazed look on his face, and I wonder if I knocked him out for a moment. He still holds the gun, but his hands are limp. I feel the extinguisher heavy in my grip. I could hit him again to make sure he wasn't a threat. I'm gonna keep hitting him. I don't trust him. I mean, my past experiences with this might, whatever. I'm not a violent person by nature, so drawing the extinguisher back a second time felt almost sickening. This only increases when I strike him on the side of the face. Roger, Dennis yells, what are you doing? He's defenseless now. I pull back at the last moment, taking some of the force out of it, but there's still a degree of damage done. The right side of his cheek was split open, the skin peeling back and letting out a steady flow of blood. Dennis grabs the rifle and instantly hands it over to me. I take it with shaking hands. He is still wincing from where Marcus knocked him, where I had headed for the fire extinguisher. I can't believe you stepped between me and that gun, Dennis says. He could have killed you. I was pretty sure he wouldn't, I say, although I had no such thing. Still, thanks, man. That was some heroic stuff. You would have done the same, right? Dennis says nothing, his eyes looking to the floor. I don't think you needed to hit him like that, Dennis says, some trembling in his voice. I don't say anything. He's probably right. It was too much of a risk. What do we do now, boss? Dennis asks. We've come this far, and I want answers. I sense that Dennis does too. I walk over and pick up my hard hat off the floor, placing it on my head. I turn towards the man. We get answers from this guy. No answers, the man manages to whisper, his eyes fluttering. Blood is all over his head and neck from where I had let loose on him. Okay, let's move, I say, pointing the gun further down the hallway. We've come this far, and I'm not going to let this guy stop us. We walk down the hallway until we come to an end. A single elevator waits for us. Its steel sliding doors larger than a normal elevator. Whew. Before I get into the elevator with this guy, I think it's wise to learn a bit more about him. I can tell it's making him uncomfortable for me to have the gun. What's your name? I ask. Marcus. And you work here? It's clear that he doesn't want to answer, but he gives a little nod. We're looking for the rest of our crew. Any idea where they might be? I ask. No, he says curtly, not bothering to elaborate. There's got to be some useful info we can get out of this guy. I just don't know how to dig for it. I need a first aid kit for my friend here, I say. Where might I find one? Down on the second floor, he says, but we can't go down there. Tell him we're going down there. He looks at me like I'm an idiot. You must be aware you're inside a classified government facility, he says. It makes sense, but I want to doubt it. Well, I'm sure our government would want you to help us save our friend, so take me to the first aid kit. I can't. You don't have clearance. Hell, I barely have clearance. Then seemingly to himself, he mutters, I make this place run. And not even a thank you. Just a bunch of restricted access rooms that I'm only allowed to go into with a freaking chaperone. I interrupted his monologue. We're going to that first aid kit. I could lose my job, he says, squinting through the blood where I'd bashed him over and over. I wonder for a moment what sort of trouble I could get into for hitting a government employee, especially as hard as I did. Then again, he had come at us with a rifle. It makes me think that things could have gone terribly wrong in this place, and the explosion in the woods, or whatever the hell happened, might be linked to it all. I need to convince him to take us to the second floor, but I'm not sure if it would be more productive to threaten him, ask for sympathy. I think I'm going to ask for help. I'm going to sympathize with the guy. I'm going to, Look, I say, it hasn't been the best day. We're just trying to find out what's going on, to find our crew, to survive. I know that it hasn't been a normal situation down here. It looks like all your protocols have been blown to hell. Can't you help us out? He looks at me sternly, weighing his options. Okay, he says. Thank you, I say. With an untrusting stare, Marcus walks to the elevator door, approaching a small keypad by the doors. He punches in a numerical code on the keypad, and we hear a slight mechanical hum behind the steel doors. After a few seconds of angry glances and frightened sneers from Marcus, the elevator arrives. The steel doors slide open with a whisper, revealing the interior. It's exceptionally well lit and looks to be made of stainless steel. I half expect the thing to take off at the speed of light. There's another small keypad on the front right panel by the door with the options of 3 sub-level floors. Looks like this elevator doesn't go to the surface. So after we get a first aid kit for Dennis, how do we get out of here, I ask. We can't leave, Marcus says. Once the power came back on, the whole place was put on lockdown. What? I shout. Can't you override it? No, it's to prevent anything from getting out. I can't. Marcus looks as deflated as Dennis. We can't get out. We're stuck here. Dennis leans into the corner and almost falls into the floor. The struggle for the rifle took a lot out of him. I could see that much in his face. Slowly, we start to move down. The hum and grind of the car's motors fill the space. What can you do? Marcus bristles at the question, but I think it's fair. I mean, he's not allowed to unlock the doors or even get medical supplies. Why keep a guy around who can't even grab a band-aid without permission? Without me, nothing would get done here, Marcus answers. These people think they're so brilliant, but some of them can barely turn their own computers on without help. The top coder in my class at MIT, and I'm stuck living underground, helping idiots who can't trust me with keys. How big is this place? It's a government facility of the highest secrecy, Mark says. A research facility. It goes on 4 stories underground, and quite frankly, it scares the piss out of me that you two got in here so easily. Why is that? This is a Black Ops graveyard. Even the CIA doesn't know this place exists. So what's your job? I handle the IT work and make sure that the database is up and running. It's a 24/7 job. I haven't seen sunlight in almost a year. I wonder what staying in a place like this for that long would do to someone's mind. I was recruited, he continues. Because of the workload, no one else wanted this job. But I don't really mind, being by myself. No family. Plus the IT, it's some crazy shit. Crazy how? This place generates over 100 terabytes of data per day. he answers, getting the slightest bit excited before his face falls again. I'm just gonna keep going with what happens here. Seems like some sort of power outage, Marcus says. That's all I know. There's an outage and then... Then what? Dennis asked weakly. Then things got weird. Things got bad. Bad how? I ask. The whole place seemed to shake, and then the lights went out. I was checking the monitors when it happened, and everything went dead. It took no more than a minute or so before I started hearing the screams. People were being killed by something. I tried to get the security cameras going again, but they only lasted for a little bit on my backup systems. But what I saw... What? I asked, feeling a sharp fear worn its way into my guts. Well, what I saw on the screens for that little bit of time made no sense. It made me get the gun from the emergency vault. I think whatever it is, it's still down here. Hold on, I say. There's an emergency vault with a rifle in the same room as the security cameras in this place. Marcus gives me a grin that looks almost insane. There are guns locked away in every room in this place, just in case, you know. So we're still in danger here. As he opens his mouth to answer, the elevator door comes to a stop, and the doors slide open. Marcus is out right away without a word. He makes his exit and heads directly for a glassed-in room that is filled with computer monitors and high-end equipment. Dennis and I file out behind him, trying to keep up. As we do, one very alarming question runs through my head. What the hell kind of government facility keeps a loaded gun in emergency vaults in each and every single room? Man, this game, this interactive story is amazing. So let's see the stats here. Curiosity. You and 39% of players obeyed the warning sign and stayed away from the glow. Selflessness. You and 64% of players stepped in front of Dennis to protect him from Marcus. Mercy. You and 35% of players kept hitting Marcus after he surrendered. Alright, so that is the end of Chapter 2. Whew. I can't wait to continue this game. I gotta go to bed because I gotta get up early tomorrow morning. And I just want to record this because this game looks amazing. And I thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'm determined to see all this game has, and I hope that you guys enjoy it. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video.